Good morning. Welcome to the Java Cafe, Java fam.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Good morning. I'm laughing to myself because I forgot to do something in the tech setup. So it's there. It's all set. Everybody should be able to see us. Good morning, everybody. Today is Thursday, July 25th, 2024, and you are in the Java Cafe. First of all, I would like to say thanks to Anthony Davis of the Davis System for inviting me in to his live last night, right before Uncle Joe gave his, it wasn't a departing speech, but it was probably the next to last before we hear from him in a major way. And so we're not really going to get into a lot of the politics this morning. However, that sometimes can cause us to be stressed within the political realm. The demographic of my guests this morning, they are probably going to deal with a lot of racism and just, different things. And we need us to be well. And so we're going to talk this morning with Danielle Von Keller. I have an affinity for anyone with a Von in their last name. I don't know what it is. But when I was younger, I wanted to mix my mother's name with my father's name. And it was some James Hills Von Trapp. Don't ask me where the Von came from. I don't know. So we're about to bring Danielle in. Now, let's thank her and be sensitive to the fact that where she is 6 o'clock in the morning. So I was like, give me just a little more volume or something. She was like, listen, it's 6 o'clock where I am. But we're going to hear from her just a couple of seconds. Do me a favor, hit that share button and invite others in because this young lady had a near-death experience. And I know you all love when there are stories. And so we're going to get ready to hear her story actually right now and bring her in. Danielle, good morning.
Good morning.
How are you this morning?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well.
6:07.
6:07. Yeah. So still.
No, I definitely want to say thank you for making the sacrifice of being with us. If you don't mind me asking, are you out on the West Coast, presumably?
Yeah. I'm in Southern California right now.
All right. So we go to Southern California now. Don't judge me for my geographical a lack of anywhere near San Francisco.
No, way further down. I'm in San Diego. So I am closer to Tijuana than most of California. So San Diego sits about 40 minutes from Mexico, from the border.
Okay, I just heard, California and thought of our, friend from San Francisco. So anyway, let's jump into why we're here. Again, welcome and thank you for making the sacrifice for being with us this morning. But I saw in the notes that Anissa put together for us about you telling us about a near-death experience. And I know that can definitely heavily inform a posture towards self-care. So tell us about yourself, a little bit of who you are, and then we can get into your story.
Yeah, so I'm Danielle. Funny enough, I think it's hilarious you said you love my name. I'm actually named after my mom, but because I'm a girl, I'm not a junior. That's just how the world works.
Yeah.
But I'm originally from Atlanta, so I'm a Southern gal that is taking on the country, I guess, to wear it. And I've always just been like a creative. I've always wanted to find my different mediums for self-expression. So I actually come from a wardrobe stylist background for a lot of years. I was in the fashion world. I did a lot of movie sets, a lot of TV shows, a lot of everything. Anything that required a person or a child being dressed, I was there. And it was such a great experience. But I definitely was raised in a single family household. So as I get older, I have a different appreciation for my mother and just like everything she did to raise us. And I'm the only girl. So a lot of people like to say you're a little spoiled when you end up being a little girl. And I think we just like our way in life.
Listen, not just girls, because some of the little boys like me like their way too all the time. So I get it.
Yay! So I think that's the business I'm right now, just kind of traveling through the country, figuring out what city I want to live in, which is such a great, beautiful, one of a kind experience to just kind of travel and figure it out and think like, where does roots look like? What does that look like? What does that cost? What does that look for like for me? And so that's catching you up with the current Danielle.
Okay. So tell us about where and how where you are now, what experience and this near death experience happened with you. Tell us about that. And if you want to, go back a little further and tell us things that led up to that. And then we'll get into your approach to wellness.
Yeah, so I'd like to take you guys back to about 2020. Actually, right before the pandemic, I had moved from Chicago to New York. As a fashion girl, everybody dreams about moving to New York. So I
Yeah.
was so excited. I moved to New York, and then the pandemic happened. So then I just was in this city that I was living in. I was like, what am I doing? Do I go back home? Do I stay here? But if you know anything about New York, leases are not cheap. So I was like, I've already paid for this. Like, this is paid for. I have to be here. So that kept me in New York for a few years. And then 2022, I actually went back to Chicago to visit my mom. And I went to college in Chicago, so I just hadn't seen friends in a long time. So I was like, oh, I'm in the city. Let me see somebody. It was summertime Chicago, which honestly, truly is the only time you should go to Chicago because otherwise you freeze. Some people say you get used to the cold, but I lived there for 10 years and it's still cold. Like you don't get used to it, you just accept it.
Well, I'm here
So,
in Boston. So,
oh,
it's a good training ground. But I heard about the wind. Chicago is known for its wind, correct?
yes,
Okay.
Chicago is known for the wind chill. You'll look at the weather and it'll be like, it's 45. And you're like, oh, it's not too bad. And you scroll down and it's like windshield makes it feel like 19. You're like, oh,
Okay.
okay. So it is actually that bad outside. Um, but while I was there, I decided to see a good friend that I had known for like a decade. And we went out, and he definitely was always one of those people that's like, if I pick you up, I'm going to take you home.
Hmm.
And we were like, okay. And we were only about 8 minutes from my mom's house. I was like, oh, he was like, come out and yell. Like, all my friends are coming out on their bikes. Like, you should go. We can drop you off on the way. And I'm like, oh, let's take the street versus the expressway because I had never been on a motorcycle at that point in my life. And we were 3 minutes from my mom's house and we got hit by a DUI driver. So we were making a right hand turn and she was making a left and hit us. And it was three motorcycles and she hit all of us. So I went flying off the motorcycle. Um, in a blessing and a curse way, my pelvis hit the ground, my hip hit the ground before my head because I was not wearing a helmet. I had on no gear. I had on a hoodie, some Converse, and some skinny jeans. I was not prepared by any means. But as a result of my accident, my friend that wanted to just take me home, he passed in the accident. I shattered my pelvis, and then I spent the last 2 years recovering from that. And it is as crazy as it sounds. When I was talking to my doctor, he was like, most you are in a 5% um, percentile. So only 5% of people that faced my accident got to live the quality of life that I got to live after. So I was like, and I thought it was rough. I was like, this is terrible. Before this, I had never even been stung by a bee. Like I had no hospital experience. I have no allergies. So I went from perfect health to ICU in a split second by somebody else's decisions. And yeah, it was a journey to get back to life post that. And yeah, it was yeah, a journey is the best way I can describe it for sure.
Absolutely. And I can see where being like that in 2 years, probably for a portion of that bedridden and not having your mobility. I've had experiences where, a couple of days limited mobility, back hurts and whatnot, and struggling to put your leg in, put pants on. And I get frustrated in those couple of days. But then when you think about people who either are permanently or have unique abilities, this is Disability Awareness Month. You know what I mean? And so, thinking about it like that. But 2 years, Danielle, how let's get into let's transition into, at what point of that journey from 2020, presumably things, your healing journey was really 20 to 22. What was the process of the physicality getting better? And then when did either the light or something, presumably, that said, wait, almost lost my life in the 5%, 5% percentile of those that make it with this type of accident, hitting your hip first. I don't think you got a chance to finish that thought. Hitting your hip and cracking your pelvis first actually saved you when you said it was good and bad, because if you hit head first, so
Yeah.
when,
So
go ahead.
so yeah, I guess to start, sorry, the timing. It's 2022 to now. So this is in the last 2 years of my life, as crazy as that sounds. But the thing about my hip hitting first, in a very morbid medical perspective, pelvises can be reconstructed. Like currently right now, I have a metal pelvis. And it gives me the ability to walk compared to your brain is not.
Okay.
If I would have hit head first, there's just no sensory. There's no replacing it. There's no helping that.
Yeah.
So the blessing was that, like, okay, I have a metal pelvis now, but then the recovery is just different. Like you just feel different. You know, how, like older people be like, I can feel when it rains. I can feel when it rains. I know what they're saying now. So it just
Oh,
is like,
that is really real, because I forgot who I was talking to the other day, and they said something about some surgery or something. I can't remember the details, and they were like, we were smiling and laughing, but I could tell they was, yeah, no, bro, I can
you
tell when
can
it's going to
feel
rain on
it.
this. Well, you really can.
Yeah, so I thought it was the trippiest thing. So it's like weather related. And I called my doctor because I was like, am I crazy? Is something wrong? So it's essentially the atmosphere pressure changes when it rains, when it snows. And that's a very natural thing that
Yep.
just happens in our atmosphere. But the thing when you have tissue and metal, it's never the same pressure. So you feel the difference between the two. You're like, oh, wait a, what's going on? Yeah, it is trippy. It's like, do I just stand here? Am I okay? The
Does it
first few
hurt?
times, you just feel it. You
You
just feel
just
like,
feel it. It doesn't hurt, but you're very much aware that you have a piece of metal
yes,
in your body,
very
and
much
because
aware.
it's so. You said you had the metal pelvis because it gives you the ability to walk.
Yes,
And so anything that you do that's going to move your core while the atmosphere, and thank you for explaining, because we hear about it, but no one's ever explained it like that, because of the atmospheric pressure that, and skin. And I mean, when it comes to the body, the slightest millimeter
mm.
of something can make, okay, I know we're not on a medical thing today, but no, but it does
No,
give it
it is trippy.
context. I won't say trippy, because you're going through it and you can say it. I would say it's admirable for me and folks of us that haven't been through this, that you can still function. And it gives you, now I'm going to joke a little bit, it gives you a precursor when you need to know you need to bring your umbrella with you, and everybody else.
Yeah, I'm prepared.
I'm
I'm like, oh, y'all don't believe me? Y'all gonna trust that with that? Okay. I'm gonna be dry.
Listen, but in this part of the journey, you're going through that, you feel that the snap of the light going on, where there was this focus in now, um wellness, not just your physical, but then the appreciation. I don't know if you're a woman of faith, or the appreciation of um I made it.
Yeah, I think it I think it didn't hit me. I was in the hospital, and luckily amazing bystander, like, just stopped. She just stopped and she caught my mom, and I still talk to her till this day. But my mom actually comes from the medical background,
Okay.
and I didn't lose consciousness, as crazy as it is. So like I remember everything happening, and my mom's like yelling at the ambulance, and she's like, "Don't take her there." And I'm just like, "What is going on?" But my mom, looking at it from a medical perspective, having this emergency call, she's thinking about what hospital has the best trauma unit.
Yeah.
And that's
Yep.
something that like most people, you don't think about that in those heightened moments. But thank God she did, because even when I got to the hospital I was at, they still waited about 72 hours trying to find a surgeon that was prepared to put my pelvis back together. My pelvis was shattered in like 14 pieces. So they just had me in a cast, essentially, like a cast around my neck so I couldn't move. And the thing that made it more tricky than others, like your pelvis really holds your top and bottom together. It's your homie, but your spine sits right in the middle.
Yeah, uh-huh.
So it became a who is prepared to do this and who's prepared to do this to someone who's 28 years old. Like so it became a like there's so much more life ahead of me at this point that they were like, who's prepared? And I literally just sat on an IV drip and a catheter for 72 hours while they figured out they're like, okay, we're gonna keep you as comfortable as we can given the circumstance and wait for a doctor. And I'm so blessed that like Dr. Lieber did my surgery, and it was the best case scenario, even though it's crazy to be in a hospital then be like, we gonna find somebody. I'm like, they're not here. That's not we're where he should be. You're phoning a friend. I don't like I don't
There
like
you
that.
go.
But they were taking I didn't even know this. There's an X-ray machine that they can roll to your
Yeah.
bed.
Yep.
They're taking X-rays in the bed and like sending it because they didn't know. And the other thing, you have an idea with an X-ray of how bad it is, but until you get in there,
Yeah.
you don't know what else needs to be replaced. Like I ended up having a bladder transfer in the midst of it because they're like, it's so damaged, she's going to need one. So then it was like they didn't know that until they were already had cut me open. So it was like a what is going on? And they're like, I wake up and I'm still in the ICU for 3 weeks. And then they're like, oh yeah, this. I'm like, you're speaking French to me right now. I don't know what that means. And it was a rare case. So they're a teaching hospital. So you have students coming in asking questions because they're mind blown.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah.
don't touch me.
Yeah,
Don't touch me.
I actually asked them when they come in the first, after you get triage, you get in the room, they can come in, and because I worked in medicine, I can kind of tell by their presentation and demeanor, resident, fellow, attending.
Yay.
And if I get a feeling, are you a resident? Can you get your attending? I
Yeah.
just, when you're in the medical field because of your mom, it's just very different being on the other side of the desk.
It
And so that can
is.
be very aggravating.
I was like, I want them to learn, don't get me wrong.
Right.
I don't
But
want them to learn on me right now.
not today.
Maybe if this was just a checkup, I might be a little more willing, but even it was like probably like my fourth day, I had to get blood drawn every 12 hours. So I just didn't sleep. And it was the night shift came in, and I'm just like, oh man, I'm like, here you are again. And I'm like drowsy, and they stick me wrong. And she's like, I just need another shot. And I was like, you need to go get somebody that knows what
That's
they're
right.
doing.
Get the
It's
IV
perfect.
nurse or the somebody.
Anybody. It's
Yep.
2 o'clock in the morning and you stuck me wrong and you think I'm just like, oh yeah, do it again. No, I've been here too long. And honestly, I have too many other things going through my mind than thinking,
And
let me get her another shot because she needs to learn how to stick people. You need to learn on somebody else, not me.
listen, that piece about what was going through your mind, that's what I want to delve into on the other side of this break. We're going to take a quick break real quick and come back and finish chatting with you. But this is, and we have to get to the point of wellness. I know, but I know I and the audience both are intrigued, by the story of hearing this part of the physicality of your journey. But we want to get to the part where hearing about what were the things that were going through your mind and how you handled the mental health impact of being 28, almost lost your life, and then, mobility and things like that. And so as soon as we come back, we'll hear more about that.
Perfect.
This is a farm, and this is growth. This is a brick, and this is a foundation. This is energy, this is fuel, this is a spark, and this is our Earthshot, a reboot of belief in our ability to live sustainably, an engine for enthusiasm about what's possible, and a year of generating more of the one resource we can't live without: hope.
Hey everyone, we are back. And if you're just joining us or came in on the tail end, we are speaking with a wonderful sister with a powerful testimony, with an awesome journey. Hate that you had to go through that, but coming out on the other side, and talking about on the other side of the commercial, you mentioned when they were sticking you 2:00 in the morning and practicing, that you said, do you know what's going on in my mind? Let's go there. What was going on in your mind, Danielle, in going through all of it?
Everything. I think there is a certain level of like, one, this city was no longer my home. So I just was like, oh, I am just, out of a lack of a better term, in purgatory. I'm like, I'm waiting for you guys to give me clearance. And if you know anything about New York, it's not an accessible city. It's
Mm-mm.
just not. So I'm just like, am I gonna be able to go home, or are you guys, where am I going after this? And I think when I was in New York and I had built that life, like you think of like, what do I want? How do I want to get there? Where do I want to be? I had that
You had
in
it
New
mapped
York.
out. Yeah. Yep.
And now I can't go back. I, okay. This is, I just have to sit and wait. And I remember talking to my doctor and like talking to my neurologist. And I had a really good neurologist because he asked me something that's so much more important. He's like, we can guide you through the physical. We can tell you like this is gonna happen, this is gonna happen, that is gonna be linear. He's like, my bigger question is where are you mentally? And I was so engulfed in the controllable factor. How am I going to get out of this hospital?
Yep.
How am I going to learn how to walk again? Okay, I'm in a wheelchair. Okay, as long I got to figure out how to transfer and like have a quality of life in this wheelchair. Okay, I can be weight bearing, but those were very simple markers that I knew. Okay, after I do this, I do this. And when he asked me that, I was set aback because I was so focused on the physical because it felt controllable. And it was more like I can put this part in a back pocket because this is the thing I can control.
Yep.
I can control taking my vitamins. I can control doing my exercises. I can go to physical therapy. I can give it my all. And we said that. I was like, oh, I hadn't thought about it. He was like, you need to.
Yeah.
And I was like, I hear you. And he's like, no. He's like, I'm gonna put on a different hat. He's like, you buried your friend and almost died. He's like, that is the cut, dry, black and white of the situation. And until you are ready to accept that, it's gonna chase you. He's like, it's not something that you can just ignore for forever. He's like,
Yep.
your life will never be the same. So get prepared to grieve that. And I fought him tooth and nail. I can't lie. I
Mhm.
was like, nah, you're joking. It's fine. It's fine. I lived through it. I'm here. And then I started seeing a therapist, and they're like, okay, well, how much do you remember? And I'm like, well, how much do you want to know? And they're like, that's not how this works. And I'm like, okay, you're right. And I think through therapy and honestly through community, and I think I was so blessed that everybody around me allowed me to be whatever point in the process I was. Like if I was like, I want to see you, but what people coming from able body to disabled, you aren't mentally prepared for the stairs. Like I would be in a wheelchair and people would either pretend like I did not exist. I'd be like, oh, can I have some more? Like I'm flagging people down. Nobody wants to make eye contact, or everybody wants to make eye
Yeah.
contact. And I wasn't prepared. So like, I don't really want to go outside. Can we hide in the house? Like
Mhm.
I'm not prepared for because when people are looking, like, do they know what I'm going through? Like, are they judging? Like there are so many things. And our idea of wheelchair accessible is not real. It is so bad.
Someone mentioned that earlier this week, or the latter part. I think it was earlier this week that we were talking about real accessibility, and yeah.
It's terrible. Even like I would like call places before I went to like make sure or reserve
Mhm.
the table. And they'd be like, "Well, wheelchair accessible," and it'd be a stair to get in. And I'm like, "You're not accessible if there is a stair at any point." But people don't constantly think that, or like aisles and stores once you
Yep.
get in aren't wide enough. So
Ramps
you're
on the
just like,
street, things like that. Yep.
I'm like, okay. So I feel like I was, once I accepted the grieving part of not just like friend and survivor's guilt and grief of the life I had imagined for myself, then I was ready to build a foundation of like being able to return to life fully. Because I think in the beginning, I just was pretending almost like it didn't happen. Like
Yeah.
I didn't want to talk about it. I didn't
Yep.
want to go back there. I didn't know. I was like, I want to put this as far in the back of my head as I possibly can, and I want to get back. And that realistically is not a long-term play.
Mhm.
And even when I got out of the wheelchair and I was walking, I like couldn't do stairs and I couldn't jump or like things of that nature. And we were in New York and there was like this restaurant and they had an elevator. And outside the elevator, it said like only for people with like limited mobility. That's how they put it. And visibly, I don't look like I got hit by a
Mhm.
car, but I was waiting outside the elevator and the hostess like comes out and I'm with my friend. And she's like, that elevator is only for people with limited mobility. And I'm like, I'm mortified. I am mortified. It's like, am I about to? And before I can even say something, my friend turns around and she's like, she was hit by a freaking car. Like, you're a horrible person, like judging people. But I'm so happy my friend was there because I was mortified in that moment because it just was like, I don't want to talk about this. Like, I just wanted to go out, have a margarita and a taco. That's all I wanted. I'm just trying to get there. And I didn't even realize how impactful community was in having that barrier between you and life sometimes. Cause you need it. You need it in like I have PTSD now and I didn't even know what that meant.
Yep.
I had only commonly heard it when it was in correlation to war with
Yeah.
veterans.
Yep. Yep.
When I was talking to my therapist, I was like, what do I do with that? And she's
Mhm.
like, you live with it and you get coping skills. I was like, oh, this isn't like a you
Like it's
give
gonna
me
go away.
something
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, there
and
is
this
no pill
goes
for
away.
PTSD.
There is not. And so I was like, oh, okay. I really have to take like wellness or just like you don't notice how good your body is until something's
Until
wrong.
it,
And you're like,
and I'm
my
talking
doctor
minimally, stiff. I'm at the age that you can sneeze and your back's gonna hurt for 2 days.
throw out your back real quick.
And so, and when it gets better, oh, I'm like, God, I think I am very intentional about the little things because just the minimum that I've dealt with, what you're dealing with now is or dealt with or coming through, and I want to purposely say accomplishing. It is remarkable because I physical would be one thing, but mental, because I'm the type of person I get in my head. And so, yeah, it anyway, not about me, about you. What does wellness look like to you now?
Wellness looks like intentionality. And I feel like I learned this the hard way
Yep.
because my my accident taught me that as a Black woman, I have to get comfortable not being okay and not being able to give. I feel like commonly,
Say that one more time slowly for the people in the back. Hold on, because my team told me when I think that there's something wonderful to be said, she was like, "Can you put them on the screen by themselves?" So say that again.
oh, I think the biggest thing I learned in wellness was intentionality. And as a Black woman, getting comfortable with not being okay and not being able to give, and the power of no being your complete statement and not feeling guilty or, oh, I shoulda, I coulda, I woulda, because I learned that when I have 25% less left in my bank, that 25 needs to go to me. It doesn't matter that I'm not at 0. I'm at 25 and that remaining balance needs to be poured into myself so I can get back to 100. We're not taught that as Black women. We give and give and give, and we're like, "Oh, you need it here. Here's the shirt off my back." Da, da, like, No, I don't have it. And that's it. Getting comfortable in that, like, I don't have it. I
I,
don't have it for you. I have it for me, and that's it.
a couple of things there. One is that not just women, but we know Black women that hold it down and do so much more. But we're conditioned and custom that we don't shut down until we get to 0 or below. I like what you said, that when you sense that the tank is on a quarter,
That's
I
it.
need to I need to be able to make it to the gas station to refill. I woman, you get ready to take me a whole different place. And so the other thing that stood out, there's such a confidence and a surety when you was like, basically not verbatim, my no is no, and I don't feel guilty about it no more. There's something, well, when you almost die, things change.
When you almost die, you understand the quality of life, because the joke in human nature is always like you have one shot, but the reality is I got a second shot. And I'm just like, it gave me the ability to evaluate what went wrong in the first one. Like, okay, what do I never want to do again? Like, you have a different appreciation for the people you surround yourself with, to the things you consume, to the value that you have in your own life, because you understand how life is so tangible and intangible at the same time.
Yeah.
We're not in control of this, that how much time, that what's next, but we are in control of us, and taking back that power and realizing that, like, that's enough when you're intentional about it. People laugh all the time. I will tell somebody no for ink, just purely because it's not in my bandwidth. I don't have it to give to you. And that's just what it is in this chapter. I don't have it. Like,
So
it
I'm gonna
doesn't
ask a
exist.
personal question, like we on a Zoom. How do you get? I'm there. How do you deal with the damn? How are they going to feel? I don't want to be perceived as, because this platform has bought a little bit of celebrity, whatever.
Hmm.
I don't want to be perceived as, oh, he thinks he's wonderful and he don't have time now. So guilt, everyone, and not as much, but it does, depending on who it is and whatnot. You go through this, okay, if I do this, this is going to give me anxiety. Then I'm going to feel guilty because I should have prioritized myself, but they need me. How do you deal with the guilt? Or do you even have now? This man, you probably don't have no more.
I have guilt with, like, my mom, but I think all of those things come down to communication and the value somebody has in your relationship. I think even in partnership, I had to get comfortable being like, I I wish I could do it, but right now I can't. Maybe Thursday would be good for me. Maybe Friday would be good for me. I think when I tell people no, if I'm just like, no, it is what it is, or I'm like, I can't do that now, but I got you on Friday. And if me telling you I don't have it makes you devalue me and our friendship, you didn't value me to start off with. And both are okay. Cause it's just like you can't expect everybody to be able to be everything at any given moment. It's not realistic. I miss,
Wait,
even in,
hold on.
like,
The Bible says we're to be all things to all people.
I guess God's still working on me because He didn't give me that. He didn't.
He also said he won't put more on you than you can bear. It be us doing that. Okay, we're not gonna go there. Oh my God, Danielle, you. Okay, there I go. They know when they hear that more than 2 or 3 views that you done struck a chord. We're going to take another shorter, quick break, and then come back and get ready to wrap up and talk about how you are staying well and what you're doing now to take your testimony and empower. I mean, just listening to you this morning, I know. If those of you that are listening either on Facebook, shout out to those on Instagram and Twitter as well. Let us know your thoughts about this story so far. This is Whew, this is amazing. All right, we're going to take a quick break. We'll be back with you in just a couple of seconds, and we'll wrap up with Danielle and get ready to wrap up for the week as well. We'll be right back.
I'm a very sensitive person, and I feel the pain of my people. They know me, they call on me, and I assure them that I'm not a provider, but I am one who cares. I always say to them, well, it's better to know than not to know, because if you know, you can do something about it. Think about the loved ones around you. Think about the ones that love seeing you come through that door. Take the step and get tested. That's it.
Save lives and get screened for colon cancer. For more information, visit boston.gov/cancer.
This is fuel. This is growth. And this is our Earthshot, a reboot of belief in our ability to live sustainably, a renewable source of the one resource we can't live without: hope.
Hey, everybody, we are back. We're getting ready to wrap up with Danielle. And if you're just joining or joined late, you need to go back and watch the rewatch and get the conclusion of the whole matter, because this sister here got a powerful testimony. And if you need some encouragement how to, I'm just going to go ahead and say it, not give zeros when it comes to prioritizing your self-care. There is this air when you get into the thing of not guilty and da-da-da-da. It's just like, I don't know what it's confidence, but it's like, I'm my priority.
And it's beautiful. It is. No, it's truly.
I mean, just watching you, it really is, because I hate how you got to this point, but you bring up the fact that, I embrace going away more. I embrace, doing sometimes what I want to do, because there's only one life to live. You don't get to reevaluate on the other side. You got a chance to kind of sit back and be like, for these first 28 years, I'm going to stick with this. And these next 56 years, this is how it's going to be. Okay. We got to get ready to wrap up a little bit. So how are you being now? What are you doing? What's going on with you?
I have a self-care routine that is like, I feel like I got it down pat from like, I notice when I look good, I feel good. And I think a lot of the times previously, I would drop me off my list. Like, I'm like, oh, you're right. I should do this instead. I'm not going to go to that nail appointment. I'm going to do this instead. No, I'm going. Like, people know Sundays, don't call me. I'm gonna call you back on Monday because I am my hair, my nails, my monthly massage. I am doing the things because I feel the best me when I do those.
But then
And
you are better able to give when you do give.
yes, or even like people, which is like a whole nother rant that we can talk about at a different time. Partnership. My fiance knows when I say, "Oh, this is my day," don't ask me for nothing.
From your now, partners sometimes feel that they're not in that perimeter of
No, they are. Everybody is. My mama's in there. My fiance's in there. Everybody's in there because I can only be a good fiance when I feel good. I can only be a good daughter when I feel good. And of course, if emergency happens and I have to ship it up,
of course. Yeah.
everything is an emergency. Your bad day at work is not an emergency. It's not, because those days are going to come. And everybody's like, what do you mean you tell him no? I tell him no. Like that's the complete sentence. It's no.
Pops just said it in the comments. No, and other people have said it too. No is a complete sentence, and he has his own testimony of burning the candle at both ends, and then, dealing with a health issue. And so definitely get it. And my brother Loud Minds, he said, my time is mine, not sharing. And then also said self-healing. And that, that is and take again to the Bible, physician, heal thyself. So, Danielle, you, here I go. You hold on for 1 second, because it didn't do it today. Alexa is being nice to me. Because usually at 9:45, Alexa tells me time to wrap it up. Can you do me a favor in the private chat, put your IG or website over to your right? You should see something that says private chat. If you could put your IG or your preferred way of people to follow you, website, anything that you're doing. I don't know if you're traveling and speaking, but there, you definitely have encouraged me to continue on the journey of getting. I want to be able to no, and then not have the thing in the back of my head. Okay, what are they going to think?
Yeah, I think you just have to do it once. You have to do it once with someone you truly care about to assure and have that proof of concept.
It gotta be a third tier, not a tier one.
No, it has to be a tier one. It has to be a tier one, because you need proof of concept in your head that person will stay around even if you tell them now. Because that's your head. You feel guilty if you're like, oh, are they going to judge me? Oh, am I going to lose this friend? Am I going to lose this person? But when you have the assurance and the proof of concept that, like, I can love you and not be able to give to you at all times at any given moment, then everybody else becomes easier. If you can say no to your mama,
I got
you can say no to anybody.
I'm just getting ready to say that, and I haven't told my mother no, but I've presented a case, and not intentionally. I'm thinking about it in real time. Around Mother's Day, we were scheduled to go to a play. The night before, I had like a major health fair, and I said something about it on the show, and my mom texted me. She said, listen, we don't have to go. And I was like, so if I don't know, but mom's a different story. I mean, I'm not the perfect son, but Jesus. So if I ever, Ma, if I ever tell we about to put Danielle's information on the screen and you call her. But I understand the concept, because so I don't like to talk on the phone. I've had to tell people when they fuss at me, when they finally get me, I'm like, listen, I don't talk to my mother on the phone that much. So there is at least a point of context there to do it at that. Ooh, Jesus. All right. This.
It's worth it. Your future self will thank you.
Woman. Well, we're about to. I definitely gonna go check out your TikTok, because I'm sure there's some nuggets and stuff on there. Listen, if you all want to stay up with this approach and the philosophy that Danielle has towards self-care and reconnecting to yourself. We didn't get into the whole point about community. We talked about a little bit how it influenced you, the person spoke up for you, the bystander that's now part of your community that saw the accident. Shout out to their humanity, because some people would have looked, prayed, and kept it moving. So for them to be able to keep in touch and
she's amazing. I love when I get to talk to her. I tell her we have like a recurring meeting. We talk once a month, catch up on life. It's beautiful.
That is beautiful, because we need as many points to humanity these days as possible. Listen, folks, we're going to get ready to wrap up, but I want to make sure that you know where you can go follow and stay up to date with what Danielle is doing on IG and TikTok at How Danielle.
Yeah, because it's my world. It's my little corner of the internet. It's all the things I like, nothing else.
But how I read, because I didn't read it fully when I put copy and put it up on the thing. And so based on the percent, and you got Ian in here going in. So you don't definitely struck a chord with this good brother. For me to read how Danielle likes it after hearing you and your know and whatnot, that is, it's not just about the food you like and whatnot. It's basically Danielle's world and how you like it.
Yeah, it's my corner of the internet. It's purely just me. I don't know. Like, that's it. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it.
Jesus. I'll be honest. Not the road that you took But
Sure.
there is an aspiration that I have toward your philosophy and mentality around your self-care. Because it the vacation thing, I'm okay with that. Not on the phone thing, doing good. I still struggle with, access. Because I don't think people understand a lot of times. Some of us don't have a conversation. If anything comes up that person is dealing with, we don't hang up the phone and by osmosis, it's gone.
Yeah.
And I told you, I'm the type, I'm in my head. So the more you give me, the more I'm going to be in my head. And so we just had a little therapy session right there. Thank you. You can send me
We
a voice.
do.
Danielle, I really appreciate you. I love your spirit. And be encouraged and think about going around and doing this speaking, because there's a lot of people that need to see, and especially now, and especially
Yeah.
Black women, they need to see this model, because and brothers too, but they need to see this model in a got me stuttering, in a manner that is real and authentic, and not this book knowledge and it's the right thing to do when the therapist comes on. And no, this is real, raw, life experienced, prioritize self-care.
Man, it's great. I highly recommend everybody just try for a little bit. No, seriously, because I think
No, I know
sometimes
that's what's
we
cracking me
get
up.
in our head, rip the band-aid off. Just try it for a week and see how good you feel the next week. I'm just saying. It's just an idea. You can try before you buy. You don't have to change everything in your life. But if you constantly are tired, if you're constantly not feeling well, if you're constantly irritated, if everything feels like your 13th reason why, it's because you have not given yourself enough and you're giving out and you're in the negatives. You can't be good. You can't be good at your job. You can't be good at your partnership. You can't be a good family member, a good friend, a good cousin when you're in the negatives. It's just not. It's not possible. You don't even feel, because then you don't even feel good giving them your laugh. You're like, damn, I'm gonna really need that tomorrow, but it's gonna be okay. No, it's not gonna be okay.
All right, you're delving into territories that you don't need to be in with me right now, Jesus. No, seriously, I appreciate you, Danielle. I'm going to go and follow myself so I can go on that little how Danielle likes it and get a mentality of doing it just how James likes it.
Yes.
You have been good, for us this morning, and it's a wonderful, thankful Thursday. That's a theme that we had on Thursdays, and so I think it's so apropos that we're closing out the week with you. And just, folks, get ready for your weekend. This weekend, you got a nail appointment. Don't cancel it because somebody asked you for a ride. You got a hair appointment. Brothers, go get your nails and feet did. Take what I
Please.
believe is called a real shower. Is that the term that's used?
Yeah. Oh, everything shower. Is that what you're
Everything,
thinking? The everything shower.
everything shower. And there's different thoughts about, but that's where you don't just get in the shower to be clean, but you get in, you exfoliate your face. You get a good shea butter. It has to be hot. Shea butter, body scrub. Right after that, if you go get your nails did, or if you got your nails done before, just, and you use maybe a little different type of lotion, and it's really an intentionality to make yourself feel good.
Yes.
Besides just taking the necessity 5-minute shower. So brothers do things like that. And I also encourage folks to journal. I had a
Oh,
situation here and there, and there is an impact of writing it out. You may not talk, you may not cuss, but I remember one time I was writing and I looked down at the iPad and I saw water. It was coming out so bad I had started sweating. You know what I mean? And so that helps.
you gotta get it out.
You
You
gotta
gotta
get
get it
out.
out.
Your health suffers. You snap on people, and you're not you. And
Yeah,
you're
and they did.
best.
Oh, sorry. They did a recent article about like how commonly people of color, we don't react to people. We just like keep it all in, and how it's linked to autoimmune diseases. Literally, I have been telling people you have to get it out, get it out, get it out, because it you will you're you're eating it. You're going to be the one that has to deal with the long-term effects of that when you don't have to. You can simply be like, no, I'm not giving it to you. I'm not dealing with that. Yesterday's price is not today's price. I used to let you talk to me like that. I no longer let you talk to me like that. That's not, you can change your mind and change your life at any given moment you decide you want more. You don't have to just be like, oh, I've done this for 30, 40, 50 years, and now I'm going to keep continuing to do it. You can
Mm-mm.
be like, actually, I don't want to do it anymore. And that's enough reason to change the dynamic of your life. That's enough. You no longer want to do it. I used to laugh, like, every generation is different, but my mom is very like, she's like, I have to do that. That's
Yeah.
my blah blah blah. That's my blah blah blah. And I asked her, I said, why? Who said that? Who said you have to? And I said, I promise you, you will be happier if you stop doing things just because you felt like you have to do it.
And it's
I
the right
have to
thing.
do it to this person. It's just, I want, like, give from a place of wanting to give. But if you don't have it to give, don't feel guilty about not having it. Because they didn't have it, and that's why they're asking you for it. So you can't feel
And they
guilty
didn't feel
when
guilty
you
about
don't have it.
Danielle. Get off my screen, woman. This was good. This was good. This was really good. Said fulfilling conversation. He says when he holds it in, he tends to blow up. I do. I used to. I do a little bit better now, but I also had a situation recently that reminded me that there's still a little more room for growth. So
Dang.
this was good.
We love those lessons.
I want to
Well,
just share
thank you so
a comment.
much.
Yes, be intentional about your self-care. Maintain personal and professional life balance at all costs.
Yes.
Color some script. Sharon, this is one of our church mothers. She said, color some scripture coloring books.
I didn't even know scripture coloring books was a thing.
Listen, I didn't know it was either. That's what therapy helps with, teaching us how to use the tools.
Yes.
They give us the tools and how to apply them, such as journaling and coloring in scripture coloring books. And the ultimate, and then I'll let you go, saying no and feel good about it.
It's beautiful. Well, thank you so much for having me. I greatly appreciate it.
I see you coming back again. So
Yes.
thank you for spending this time with us. Go back and catch up with your rest and tell your fiance we're sorry. And he might turn around and tell you, no, I need to rest.
He's like, I'm glad I
be fine with it. Yep. Leave him alone. All right, Danielle, thank you and Godspeed and being. Sharon said, I have some. Sharon, we know you be coloring them coloring books because she can get folks together real quick. Danielle, thank you. I appreciate you.
Perfect. Thank you. You guys have a blessed day. Bye.
Folks, I hope something with Danielle today. You can follow her here on Instagram and TikTok and find out what she's doing and say, listen, her spirit was just amazing. And so we're glad to have her here with us today. We're going to get ready to wrap up. Ian, thank you so much, brother. Go follow Loud Minds on TV, on Instagram. If part of how your well-being includes cannabis, this brother is a pioneer in that space, curates, and what's the word? Critiques, and is a real connoisseur. So check this brother out, but a positive brother, a dad, a husband, a community contributor. So go follow him on Instagram as well. We're going to wrap up today. We tentatively, I'm waiting. I'm going to check the email right now because I want to hear from our Congresswoman. And so the last thing they said to me was, did Friday work? I told them that Friday did work at 9 or 12. And so potentially we may be back tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. or 12 noon with Congresswoman Ayanna Pressley. We'll put a flyer up if so. If not, this is my Friday. I'm getting ready to get off of here and we'll see you guys on Monday. I'm going to take one of this. I told Real that this is going to be a little staycation weekend. So I'm probably going to be back on D&D and not feel bad about it. But anyway, thank you all for being with us this week. Next week, we have some great guests coming in. We're going to end out the month with Dr. Kevin Simone from the Boston Public Health Commission. And we have some other guests lined up to come in next week. We'll do a Just Jimmy one day next week, I believe. And it's 10 o'clock. So UCB, y'all get y'all hour. And we'll see you guys right now on Monday at 9 a.m. But we'll let you know if the Congresswoman is going to come in with us tomorrow to chat about what's going on across the country and down in D.C. So, all right, I'm out of here. Michelle, I owe you a follow-up. Good to see you in the room. You all stay blessed and enjoy the weekend. Asia, good to see you in the room. Sharon Cornelius. I just felt I needed to say that. All right, folks, I'm out of here. Have a great weekend, and we'll see you maybe tomorrow morning at 9 or Monday at 9 or tomorrow at noon. Peace, everybody.